Alrighty, welcome back to the Jays Center podcast. Owen Hill joined as always by Jesse Burrill. We are coming at you after the Jays lose a second straight series to the Tampa Bay Rays. But Jesse, we're recording right after game 3 of that series, in which the Blue Jays won via walk-off grand slam. Daulton Varsho had the honors. They're 19-24. It's been ugly. The series as a whole was really ugly. But Jesse, man, they're 1-0 over their last one, and it was a pretty exciting way to do it. How are you feeling after watching that?
Well, anytime you get a walk-off grand slam, you feel pretty good, no matter how you played the rest of the series. Owen, I'm going to start with a very dramatic question to throw it back at you. Is this going to be the home run, the moment that we look back at the end of the year and be like, this was the moment the Blue Jays season changed?
So if I'm a betting man, I would say probably not. I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that have to change, and there's a lot of things. I got a lot of notes here that like things I just need to see change to see this team turning around. And step one is get healthy. Like you're still waiting on Addison Barger to get healthy. We saw one game of him before he went back on the IL, and you're still waiting on Nathan Lucas and Shane Bieber and Alejandro Kirk, like your all-star starting catcher. Like there are so many guys here who are still missing. I think the team has it. What I've seen the last 2 days is them capitalize on the other team's mistakes and capitalize on the things that the other team is not doing well. And the Rays are a really good team, and they're a tough team to do that against. So, long-winded way of saying it, there's a lot of things that need to change, but I'm starting to see signs of improvement, and maybe it's just recency bias because, God, like they were like a ground ball, one more ground ball double play away from this looking really, really ugly and losing 6 straight to the Rays and another sweep. But that's not what we get to talk about today.
Yeah, I mean, my first thought was, where was that swing with in the same situation in the World Series, Daulton Varsho? But anyways, I hate to bring back that old painful memories. Oh, and the fun answer is to be like, look, maybe this is the swing that turns us around. This team very desperately needed a win, needed something to celebrate. They need something to get under themselves. I don't know if you heard it, and I know Sportsnet caught it up, and it's probably not family friendly for the J Center podcast, but they were saying some hell yeah, some curse words, some of excitement at the plate when Daulton Varsho was getting there. And that was very cool. You know, a moment like that can bring this team together. And, you know, momentum's as good as your next day starting pitcher. And we'll talk about that as well. But I don't know. I want to believe. And I think maybe that's what it is. I'm manifesting this in a way that I want this to be the moment that we look back on. And so maybe I'm just putting that vibe out in the universe a little bit, that maybe this is the thing that they can get going. I understand they've struggled a lot. They took advantage of what they had to take advantage of. They only won one game. They're 1-5 against the Rays this year. I get all of that, but maybe, just maybe, Owen, we can have some hope here.
Okay, well, first of all, be careful dropping those hell yeahs because I don't want an
Yes.
explicit rating on this podcast going forward, Jesse. God, take it easy, my man. It's one win. But no, in all seriousness, like I hope this is the swing that we talk about as like the quote unquote Bo Bichette swing in Texas that kind of everybody points to. And everybody says, that's when I knew the 2025 Blue Jays had it. In all seriousness, like we probably didn't realize they had it until like October. Like realistically, like even going into the playoffs, we didn't know what to expect. And like when it happened, it all made sense that it happened because we'd seen so many great things and they continued to be good at what they were really good at all season. And if this is the turning point for the Blue Jays, like I could absolutely see that. Like I am a believer in body language and I am a believer in momentum. And say what you want. Maybe momentum is not real in baseball, but I think a moment like that, especially heading into the off day tomorrow, and I was telling you in the green room earlier, like I think that another day with the off day tomorrow, a day that you can't lose, it's like a 2-game winning streak, basically. You're going to be riding this high for 2 days, taking it into Detroit. Detroit's not exactly setting the world on fire either. Maybe you're right, man. Like this is a little bit of a chance, got a little bit of runway to gain some momentum. And I would love it if this was the moment that we could point to that turned the Jays season around.
Yeah, and like a good off day too. Get out, celebrate, feel good about yourselves, feel good about the team. Detroit is not a far travel distance from Toronto either. They are a team that's going through it a little bit. Get pound on them a little bit too. Get really going, get off and running. Use this to start your run. I know it's easier said than done, but you can see the blueprint of how this might happen. And there's a recipe there. Now, for that to happen, Owen, this team is going to need to simply play better. Period. Full stop. There is a lot of players specifically that need to play better. Pitchers, offense, they need to do a little things a lot more. The defense really hasn't been that good either. We can touch on all of that here in this episode, but the Blue Jays need to take care of that before we really start to think that, yeah, maybe this team has that little run in them.
Yeah, man. Like they're still not doing the little things well at all.
Right.
Like even in like the most recent game, like Griffin Jacks gave up 4 hits and 4 walks. He gave up 8 base runners in, was it 4 innings or 5 innings? I didn't put it down, but either way,
He got 5. Yeah.
Yeah. So almost a 2 whip, and you didn't score a run off him. Like he got 3 double plays, and then you got another one in the bottom of the 7th to bail them out of another jam. Like they're not executing. And that was the thing about the 2025 Blue Jays. Say what you want about the defense and the pitching, and both of them are really good on that team, but they executed when they got guys on base. Like you could count those runs, especially with less than 2 outs. A runner on second base and less than 2 outs, you know he's getting over and in. Or if he's not getting over and in, somebody's hitting a double, and then they're getting that guy over and in. Like the 2025 Jays executed no matter what, and I haven't seen this team do that much. And yet, like a couple of double plays were really lucky. Like Yohendrick Pinango ropes a ball that would have gone down the right field line into the corner if like the first baseman wasn't holding on the base runner, and it turned into just a simple double play. Like that's baseball, that's going to happen. At the same time, it's also Vladimir Guerrero Jr. hitting with a guy on base and grounding into another double play. And like that's the things. It's got to be a little bit better with guys on base, and not to be too long-winded, but like in game 2, like I was just jotting down notes of every little thing that went wrong. Like Davis Schneider's diving for balls down the left field line, and Ernie Clement's making another error, and Daulton Varsho's breaking back on bloops into center field, and Okamoto's bouncing a ball off his glove that's right at Andres Jimenez again. It's the second time at least that we've seen him do it this season. And not to just go in super hard on these Jays, but like these are just little things that we haven't seen them do well. It's Louis Varland not getting over on a PFP, and then Vlad not throwing the ball to third base when Okamoto's waiting. And I'm sorry, it's very long-winded, and I'm just piling on play after play here, but that's the stuff that you notice, and that is the margins that like separate a great team right now, like the Tampa Bay Rays, and a team like you. And you lost this series. I know we feel good right now after the grand slam, but that was like the last guy in the Rays bullpen, dude.
Yes,
like that is
he
not
was
a guy
not
Kevin
pitching
Gausman.
well either. Like he was walking the world. His command was off. Like you have to destroy it against that guy. So I'm with you there. The Jays really need to do it. And hey, give them credit. At least they did.
Absolutely, dude. So they did it. They got the job done today. And that's the tone I want to take. It's not easy being super negative about a baseball team every time we record these episodes every 3 days. And
yeah, believe it or not, it's hard work to bash these guys for an hour at a time.
No, it is what it is. Like I don't like doing it. I got into this because I love the Blue Jays. All I want is to see the Blue Jays succeed and be happy. And like that would make me the happiest guy in the world. And at least we kind of saw them get the job done. It felt like the first time in a long time that like they had a job to do and they got it done. And it happened to go over the fence. Like that's just what happened. It didn't need to go over the fence. You needed just a little single score run. You needed a fly ball, something. But Daulton Varsho doing the job, and he's going to get all the credit for that.
Yes, credit. It was the first grand slam of the season for the Toronto Blue Jays. I believe it's the first time a non-Brandon Valenzuela person has hit a home run with a runner in scoring position. So both of those 2 talking points, we can now put a nib into that is now over. But going back to your points you made earlier about wanting to see this team play better, it's the things you don't notice if you're a casual fan watching this team. Like you can't tell that Kaz has had that ball bounce twice off his glove in front of Andres Jimenez. You can't tell that. Sorry to shoot out Kaz again, but he had a ball hit him in the head trying to catch a pop-up there. It's, Vlad's footwork at first base. It's Daulton Varsho's defensive numbers. It's Ernie Clement's throwing arm. Name whatever it is that you don't really get to see if you're a casual. But if you're deep in the weeds watching 162 games like we are, those are the little things that do not seem that important at the moment, but do add up over time and can be the difference between like a 500 team and a team that gets to 86, 87 wins and puts you into the playoffs. So I see what you mean. And once we start to see the signs that those little things are happening, this Blue Jays team will roll. They still have the talent. They still have the right guys in place. It's got to start coming together.
Yeah, and it's got to be now because you're 19 and 24.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So 19, 20, and 24 is better than 18 and 25. Like we expected them to be after the top of the 10th, and Jeff Hoffman gives up 2 runs, who largely has been better, but gave up runs in 2 appearances in this series on back-to-back days. So something to keep your eye on, a little bit ugly. Like the casual Jays fans are just eating good when they like see Jeff Hoffman come out and then he gives up a run, and they're validated every time they say, I hate Jeff Hoffman. And God, like all they know is just to hate Jeff Hoffman. And it's not as simple as that. Like he should be much better than he is. At the same time, the last 2 appearances have been concerning for me. Not loving what I've seen from him the last couple of days, but like I think he's the least of their problems at this point, right?
Yeah, gave up a home run in game two. I think I gave up a home run. It was a 3-1 count. It was falling behind, and then he got in trouble when he fell behind, and then the ball left the yard. Like, that is all part of Jeff Hoffman's profile now. And I think he still had like a 43% whiff rate or something in game two before this day. So it was something ridiculous. But it was wild from Jeff Hoffman. Before we dive too deep in like player specific analysis, which I know we're going to get to, Owen, I do want to mention some more team wide general stuff. And I'm going to share a stat with you. And I just want your honest reaction on this stat. But the Blue Jays, as a team, are actually the 6th best in baseball in Fangraph's clutch metric. Clutch metric is weird. It's complicated. It's what it is. It doesn't necessarily mean how clutch you are, but it's basically like how better or worse does a player do in high leverage situations that he would have done in contracts neutral. The Jays are 6th in baseball. That does not pass the eye test. But what are your thoughts on that stat?
I think it's wrong. I can't trust anything else. I can't believe that. There's no way that's true. I would have guessed they were dead last. I'm not even exaggerating when you say that. If you'd asked me where I thought they were, I would have said 30th out of 30. There is no way that is real.
I think it's probably because the Blue Jays have been so bad in non-high leverage situations that the odd time they do get a hit, like Daulton Varsho's grand slam today, it's going to boost that number much higher. The real number that I like to use that I think tells a better story about, particularly the Blue Jays at the plate, is RE24, which tracks like all 24 base states. So like no one on, no one out, one on, one out. And so far there's 24 different situations, and how much runs you should score or not score based on like hundreds of simulations. And the Blue Jays are 21st in that. They've actually scored 13 less runs than expected in the just like a league average base state. And that sounds a lot more right. And a lot of that, Owen, is those little things. Guy on second base, nobody on, being able to get a ground ball and then a fly ball to move him over, or not striking out at the right time, or maybe even getting a stolen base, which the Blue Jays don't do a ton of, that we saw the Rays do quite a bit in this series. And all that little stuff will need to get better going forward. You can argue maybe regression is going to come, and that will come closer to the mean. I'd argue that we need to see the players do it a little bit better before they get there. So I just wanted to throw in those 2 points before we get into the player analysis here.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off that a little bit and say when you get to watch the Jays play the best team in the American League right now, and that is the Tampa Bay Rays, say what you want about them as an organization, but God, does that team execute well? They do it so well. They get a guy on first base, and every catcher the Blue Jays put out, so Valenzuela and Heineman, and every pitcher that was on the mound, immediately the only thing that they can focus on is that runner and him getting to second base, and they run really well. They steal a bunch of bases. They get guys, and it's like boomer baseball takes, and it's kind of a boomer way to play baseball, but they get guys over, they get guys in. They get guys on, they get guys over, they get guys in. It's a constant cycle. Their guys are fast. Their guys know what they need to do to score a run. They're not playing for the big inning all the time, and they can still kind of hurt you with the homers from time to time as well. Like, that's a very well-built team, kind of out of nowhere. Like, they were not a good team last year, and then all of a sudden they get their home stadium back, and they look like a wagon. And I gotta say, like, that guy Chandler Simpson, maybe the least ethical baseball player I've ever seen. Like, what he's doing is, I think, really bad. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to give a really hot take and say he's not talented. Obviously, he's quite a talented baseball player. What he's doing is not easy. It's very impressive, all that stuff. But at the same time, this dude should be a track athlete. Like, he's not a good hitter. He's just putting the ball in play as softly as he can, but it works. He's scoring runs all on his own. And it's kind of just like when you put that guy at the top of a lineup that does what the Rays do and executes like the Rays do, he's the most Tampa Bay Rays player of all time.
Yeah, the Blue Jays need a player like that. I will say, for baseball fans of a certain age, maybe my age, I might date me a little bit, but it's good to see like a Juan Pierre type back in Major League Baseball. A guy who's got no power whatsoever, slaps the ball around, but actually does help the team. I will say too, though, Owen, like looking at this Tampa Bay Rays team, it is kind of like looking at what the Blue Jays have built their team supposed to be. Get on base, you're not going to be the most power hungry team. Get on base, do the little things, move them around and score. The major difference right now is simply just in how often these guys are getting on base. Like the team's slugging percentage is very similar. The team's ISO is very similar between the two teams. Pretty sure the team's batting average isn't that. Yeah, it's within 5 points of each other. The difference is, though, Toronto's on base percentage is at 308, which is 24th in baseball. Tampa's sitting all the way at 338th best in baseball, and they're just getting more opportunities to come through and drive runs across. And I think that is the main two difference between these teams. And I guess maybe the Rays pitching staff is a little deeper than the Blue Jays is right at this moment, but that's mostly injury related. So it's not too far off to see the blueprint, I guess, from how the Blue Jays could turn this thing around and get better.
I think the Blue Jays in 2025 were kind of a better version of these Rays. Obviously, the comps aren't perfect. Like, you had George Springer, probably the best hitter on your team from like start to finish. In your leadoff spot, like, he's not a Chandler Simpson comp at all. He hit 30-something homers and was awesome. Like, it's not a perfect comp. But I think when you see the Jays play the way they did in 2025, I think the Rays kind of are emulating that a little bit. And like, year after year, that's the best team in baseball, is the team that executes the best. And a lot of that maybe is not repeatable, hitting with runners in scoring position and clutch stats. Like we talked about, it's not stuff that is easy to replicate year over year and season over season and at bat over at bat, even week over week or week over week. Like, it's not something it's something that's proven not to be repeatable, basically. So I think, just long story short, if the Jays want to get back to doing what we know they can do, what we've seen them do, that's kind of where they have to improve. And that's asking a lot. It's not something you could just try harder and do. And that's the thing. We saw Vlad, they're playing on the broadcast, him hitting off the tee for 45 minutes at like 2:00 this afternoon. That's not something most big league hitters do. Definitely not star hitters do. And yeah, it's because he's struggling a lot and whatnot. But to me, that tells me they're trying hard. They're working hard. But that's not what you do in baseball. It's a try easier sport, is kind of what they like to say.
Yeah, I don't know if 45 minutes sitting off a tee is really doing anything for you. Like, Randall Grichuk, I remember, did this a lot, or maybe it was Colby Rasmus. It was one of those two who, after a game, would just go and hit in the cage for 2 hours. And I'm like, at that point, you're gonna work yourself out. You're gonna get really good at hitting the ball in the cage, and it's not gonna be the same as hitting the ball off a pitcher on the mound. Same thing with hitting off the tee. I think it's good if you're trying to work on something in your swing mechanics. Maybe Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is. I saw he was hitting with the tee elevated quite a bit. Maybe that'll help him get a swing a little bit. I want to say faster, but it's already pretty fast. It's just to get that contact point to get it out in front, which can cause him to do some damage. Who knows? We didn't really get to see it in the game today, at least. He had 3 walks, which was good from Vlad, but that has not been the issue for Vlad. He's been walking all season. So we will see. I agree with you. This isn't something either that John Schneider can just coach. He can't just coach better. He can't just coach these guys into existence. I guess it's maybe changing their mindset a little bit into how they're going through things at the plate, but something needs to change. And I do think maybe the Blue Jays are starting to figure that out slowly, piece by piece, but there's a lot of individual players, and I'm sure we will get to them in this episode, that do need to see some changes for this team to get better.
Well, I'm going to keep digging on Vlad. It's just
okay. And let's do that.
I saw the Chris Black tweet. It's the worst 15-game stretch of his career by OPS. It's got like a 330 over the last 15 games, which is terrible. So, and that's not including the final game of the series, the Daulton Varsho walk-off, game 3. So take that for what you will. 3 more walks in tonight's game, the final game of the series. And to me, the approach actually did look a little bit tangibly different, kind of recognizing that, hey, I don't have to be the guy. There are guys behind me, Kazuo Komodo, who can get a job done themselves, and if I get on base, that helps the team a lot more than me expanding the zone and hitting a ground ball or striking out and forcing something on the team and forcing myself to do something, right? So I did see that, but just it's hard for me to get super granular on Vlad, breaking down his swing and all that stuff. Like, he's a superstar, and even though he's not playing like one, that's what he is. That's who he's going to be. It's just frustrating because I just thought we were over this with Vlad, right, especially after, like, what was it, 29 hits in the playoffs, and just the best player from start to finish in the postseason last year, was legitimately one more Blue Jays run away from, I guess 2 more, from winning World Series MVP and ALCS MVP. And I just, when he tied it together with coming into the World Baseball Classic and looking like the exact same guy, that's what really sold it for me. I was like, this is when Vlad is real. Like, this is who he is now. And I thought that was going to be the case. And even though he didn't quite get off to the hot start, didn't see the power at all. We haven't seen it at all so far this season. But at least early in the season, he was hitting for a ton of average. And obviously the BABIP stuff, he's getting really lucky. But at the same time, like, you got to be really good to get really lucky. And you got to be really lucky to be really good. Like that's a legitimate thing in baseball. And he was putting the ball in play a ton and he was doing what he needed to do. But that stuff is all kind of falling off a cliff. And
Yep.
and if you even think back bigger picture in his career, like we did this exact same conversation after 2021. Vlad had bust conversations coming into that 2021, like after the COVID season, and he had been in the big leagues for 2 years, and they were both 2.5 years, but he hadn't quite panned out. And in 2021, in all those minor league parks, and he hit 40 something homers, and like would have won an MVP if it wasn't for Shohei Ohtani. And we were kind of like, oh, this is who Vlad is now. And then he followed that up with an okay 2022 by his standards, a great offensive season, but by his standards, okay. And then a frankly very disappointing 2023. And we were like, God, like maybe we were wrong about 2021. And then he put together this awesome 2024 when he got back to that 160 weighted runs created plus. And then this is kind of who we thought he was. He gets the big extension, and then he has the huge playoff performance. And I'm like, we're over this. We don't need to do this anymore, Vlad. And it's disappointing that we're doing this conversation again. It's 2026. He's 27 years old, and other teams don't deal with this with their stars.
Yeah, coming into the season, I think we were all saying Vlad's got his money now. He's got the status. He's kind of more of a leadership on his team. He's, like you said, he's 27. He's entering the prime of his career. This is the time Vladimir Guerrero Jr. should go. It might be the best season he's ever had for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Now that looks well in the rearview mirror here. Oh, and I'm going to share some stats. And you are not going to like these stats one bit. So maybe plug your ears if we're not getting any of those hell yes out of here. Maybe this will be the thing that make you close your ears here. But I'm just going to run through some major league stats since the start of May. And here's where Vladimir Guerrero Jr. ranks in a ton of them. So his WRC plus, -6. That is third worst out of all qualified hitters in baseball. Cal Raleigh, the worst at -32 for what it's worth there. You look at WOBA, weighted on base average. Cody Bellinger's doing good. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is not. He's fourth worst at 149. And the number that really stands out to me, if you look at Fangraphs WAR, there's only one player in baseball since the start of May that has lost literally half a win on his Fangraphs WAR, and that's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So he has not only been mired in quite a slump, it's actually like one of the worst players in all of baseball type slump. And he's getting a ton of at-bats still. He's hitting third in this order. Like it's starting to become, hey, this isn't just a superstar hitter going through a cold streak. This is starting to actually become a problem for the Toronto Blue Jays. And that is not good.
Yeah, so you were right. I should have plugged my ears for those stats.
Yes.
That was ugly. And it's all ugly. The issue is there's nothing you can do. Like this guy's here for the next 14 years. He's getting paid $500 million to be here for the next 14 years. And guess what? He's going to hit third until he figures it out. And when he figures it out, we're going to do the thing. And it's going to be the revisionist history that we always do. And it's can't believe anybody ever doubted Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is the best hitter in Toronto Blue Jays history and all this stuff. And like, I think we just need to be better at having more neutral takes, because do we think that this is who Vlad is from now on?
Of course not. No,
I don't think that there's anybody else or anybody at all, period, who has that take, Blue Jays fan or otherwise. Everybody in baseball knows Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is going to turn this around at some point. And there will be another heater, whether it's in the postseason or not. There will be another heater just like that, where he looks like he's the best player in the world for a month, 2 months, longer. Maybe eventually he does replicate that 2021 season. Like, I don't know. Maybe he's never a 30 homer guy again, but this is not who he is. Maybe he's hurt. I saw some stats, like he got hit by a pitch on April 28th or something like that. And since then he's been terrible. I don't know. I think that's kind of making excuses and digging for excuses at that point. But I think, again, it just kind of comes back to big picture. Like the issue with this, and it's kind of the issue overall, is when he slumps, he cannot let it get this bad. Doesn't have to be an aircraft carrier for 6 months from March 27th until September 30th. That's not acceptable to ask from any player in baseball, Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, or otherwise. That's not what you need, but you can't be a negative 0.5 win player over 2 weeks. You can't just not get hits, especially if you're Vladimir Guerrero Jr. If you're Ernie Clement, you can do that. Like, there are people who can replace you on a day-to-day basis, and then when you're feeling better, you kind of got your mojo back, you can be back on the lineup. There's no other Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Yeah, and that's the problem. It's like, yeah, even like a not 100% Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is still going to be better. He might be hurt. I don't know. I don't know if I'm buying that though. He did get a day off sprinkled in there. We have seen a bit more of Sosa playing first base. I think part of this is just, going back to what John Schneider said about Vlad is just he's kind of in between right now, and you can even see it with the swing. He's letting the fastball travel just a little bit too much, and then he's getting that off speed, and he's kind of letting that go. He had a fly ball, I believe it was to center. It was on a nice little, I think it was a change up down the middle. Just missed it. Hit it well. Whatever. That's going to happen. There was one in game 2, I remember. I think it was one of the or no, it was when the Jays had that 5-run inning, Vlad had a 2-seamer in a spot he's crushed before. He hit it hard, he hit it well, but he hit it on the ground. It's been the story for Vlad the whole season here. So I get it. I get why this is happening. It's just, it does need to turn around quickly. I don't think any of us would be surprised if Vlad finally gets a home run, especially his first one at home, breaks that monkey off his back, goes on a run where he's one of the best players in baseball for a week and a half. I get it, but it's just the longer this lull goes on, the longer this continues, the more the questions are going to come up and the more pressure Vlad is going to put on himself, which ultimately is going to hurt the team. So this team will go as far as Vlad will go, and Vlad's got to start going.
Yeah, Vlad has got to start going. Do you remember, was it 2023 when he didn't hit his first home run at home until like June?
Yeah, it was something crazy ridiculous too, where I remember that there was a big massive streak where it was like he was hitting all the doubles, but all of his home run production would coming later and later at home, right? And so he finally was able to get one. And then, if I remember correctly, he went on a pretty big run after that too, right? So maybe we're going to see that throughout his career. He has hit better as the summer months have heated up. I get that, but just once it would be really nice to not have this slow start, because it does correlate very heavily with the team's success.
Yeah. Like we can do the slow starter conversation with Anthony Santander, but
Sure.
we can't do it with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Unfortunately, and I don't want to tie everything to the contract, but unfortunately, when you get paid like that, you run out of excuses. There just are none, and we're making a lot for him. And me and you, I think, have been critical of him, and we're still making a lot of excuses.
Yes, you see it across baseball too. Once guys get their money, they start putting up pressure to perform. It's like it's not even baseball. It happens all across all sports, right? Maybe they relax a little bit because they're feeling a little better. But Vlad came from money. He never really needed money, so I find it hard to believe it's about the money. Who knows with Vladimir Guerrero Jr.? All I know is that the bat's got to start coming, and it's got to start coming soon.
Yeah, man. I think this series in Detroit is a good time to do that. I think he can, man. Like, I know it's in there. 3 walks today in the final game of the series, very encouraging. I think the approach looked much more patient. I think he's been getting pitched tough because frankly, other teams kind of don't really believe in the guys that are hitting behind him right now, with Barger being down, Kirk being down, lineup's very thin. Even Nathan Lucas is kind of an everyday player for this team, especially against right-handed pitching.
Yep.
And like he's down as well. Like you're still missing 3 very prevalent bats. For God's sakes, like Miles Straw is the go-to right-handed bat for pinch hitting opportunities, and he's hitting in the 2-hole when against Shane McClanahan when lefties are on the mound. Like that's just ugly. Like I don't know. Like Miles Straw was a salary dump last year, and I know he's been good and outperforming. I know some of the bat speed stuff looks exciting, and I've liked watching him. But at the same time, I know he's Miles Straw. Like we're not exactly bringing Matt Stairs off the bench here.
Yeah, the whole Miles Straw thing, honestly, that's probably my fault because like I wrote an article about him about all these cool changes he made, and he's been well, and he's gone like what 2 for 12 since then, or 2 for 13 since then. So that's my bad. I will take onus for how poor Miles Straw has paid, but that is a roster construction problem anyway. Miles Straw was never supposed to be the pinch hitter off this bench here. That was supposed to be Davis Schneider, but he hasn't been doing it too well. And then he thought, okay, you'll bring in Lennon Sosa. Maybe he'll be the guy that can provide that spark that you got out of that platoon last year. He hasn't been doing it either, right? So that's why like the little things that were bringing the Blue Jays success last year, the having that competitive advantage has kind of stopped. It's kind of grown up, and now it's they're being taken advantage of. And I think you mentioned it there, Owen. It's caused the depth of the lineup to be very beatable, very attackable. Like even the game we won today, Owen, we were getting like we didn't score our first run until quite late in this game, right? In game 2, when we ended up making it close, losing 6-5 in extras, we didn't score our first run until the 7th inning. Like the offense is getting shut down early and often. And I think a lot of it is because one, Vlad's not hitting, but it's also like the depth of the lineup. Those players that were so heavily involved in helping the Jays win last year have also dried up.
Well, even George Springer is hitting 202 with a 611 OPS. Okamoto like got really hot for a second there, but hasn't really been great, especially this series. And
get one hit this series, yeah.
like very quietly dried up, and there's bigger problems, bigger fish to fry right now. Daulton Varsho, like Grand Slam was awesome, but he's turned into a slap hitter, and the defense is not nearly as good as it has been in years past. Which is like, I don't even know how to have that conversation, to be honest. Like,
yeah, do we have that now, or do we put a pin on it and like keep going now, because it's hard to explain.
We can have the conversation. I don't know what to say other than it's bad. It's not good. He looks slower. His sprint speed is way down. The arm is just absolutely cooked. He made a great play in game 2 of the series, running into the wall, but like it felt like it was a ball that I've seen him get to much easier than he did on that play, and I don't know how to explain it. His reads look worse. I mentioned very early in this episode, like a ball that he broke back on and then ended up being a bloop that fell in, and it felt like we never used to see that. This guy was the premier center fielder in baseball. He was like the Kevin Kiermaier replacement, like among Major League's best outfielders. And it's been really disappointing. And I think he's costing himself a lot of money, to be honest with you.
Yeah. This is a terrible time to have that bad year after he looked so good. He made a bunch of swing changes and whatnot. He's got his OPS has dropped down to like what it was in 2024 when he was just an 18 home run hitter. You know, he was just kind of mad. He had a lot of injuries that season. I'm with you on the routes, Owen. Like that ball that he dove for and was making its rounds on the highlights reel, like that was not a good route. He had to make an adjustment late last minute and just got there on his dive. Like, yeah, he crashed into the wall and he'll do that sometimes, but I'm with you, man. Like Daulton Varsho has just not looked like the guy out in center field. And this guy was supposed to be a key piece for this team. And I wonder if it's something with the injuries or something's going in his head, because it seems so weird for a guy who remember came up as a catcher to all of a sudden just leave that, turn into one of the best center fielders in baseball, who maybe couldn't hit that well, but then found some success with that bat and maybe turned that around and just all of a sudden did not have success. I'm not so sure. I can tell you why, like how pitchers have been pitching towards him and everything, and how he's making some adjustments with that, maybe, but that doesn't explain the base running, the speed. I really thought the arm strength too would be improved. It's now we're a full calendar year now past the shoulder surgery. Like this is the time you're supposed to start seeing that number rise up. We haven't. Other teams around the league now are really starting to pick up on that and advance scout for that with Daulton Varsho, and they're taking advantage of it. It's starting to become a problem in center field.
Okay, so the two guys that are the biggest culprits to this, and we can kind of tie in Ernie Clement to this as well, I think, because he's a guy who defensively, and his problem looks more like it's with his hands, but his sprint speed is also down. He looks like he's lost a step as well. Do we have the conversation like World Series hangover, and not that you won the World Series, so you don't get the excuse of that? Like the Los Angeles Dodgers can have the World Series hangover excuse because they won it. Fortunately, you played the exact same amount of games as they did and played on the exact same last day of the season as they did. Unfortunately, they won that game, so they get to celebrate, and you get to come into the season still hungry. Does them playing that deep into the season have an impact on this season? Did they not get their full recovery? I don't know. I'm not a sports science doctor. Like maybe we can talk to somebody who is at some point. I don't really know. I don't think that can be an excuse at this point. Like these guys are both young. Like Ernie Clement's 29 or 30. Daulton Varsho's 29. These guys are supposed to be in like their athletic primes right now. And their athleticism has all of a sudden tanked. And even if we don't even want to talk defense with Daulton Varsho, like he's completely changed his approach from last year and what made him so good. Like, so great news. He is running the best whiff rates and strikeout rates of his career. He's dropped his strikeout rate almost 10% between 2025 and 2026. But he's also dropped all of his batted ball metrics by just a ton. He's not hitting the ball hard anymore. Like his average exit velo is only 86 miles an hour. In 2025, it was 89.9, basically 90. His expected slugging is tanked. His barrel percentage is tanked. He's not launching the ball at any launch angle anymore. His bat speed is way down as well. Like I just don't get why. And to me, the only reason why you'd want some guy to do that is if he's not healthy or if he feels like he's not in good enough shape. He's not as athletic as he used to be.
I think part of it too is so yes, I think all of that is true. And I agree with it. Sprint speed is the big mystery, man. We saw that with Bo Bichette too over the course of his Blue Jays career, that sprint speed has just suddenly dropped, and it seems to have had his effect at the plate as well. Sorry, Bo Bichette catching some slander here, but I think part of that numbers is how other pitchers have been pitching Daulton Varsho. We saw the home run today on a fastball up, but it was still only 93, and he was still well behind it and had to hit it to the left center field. So his slap approach, if you will. But other teams have been pitching him a lot higher in the zone. I think they've realized that Daulton Varsho's swing plane kind of leads best to hammering those pitches at the bottom part of the zone. And usually when those pitches are down there, you can usually generate a bit more bat speed to get through them. So I think part of those numbers decline is because he's been being pitched up, and he's gonna get to shorten his swing a little bit and cheat to those a little bit, I'm sure. But also too, Owen, like if you know you're best at hitting those pitches down in the zone and that's where you can get your power, you need to be able to fight off those pitches at the top until you get one of those pitches, or maybe don't swing at those, or your contact rate is up. Maybe it's better to just miss those instead of just hit one. Like, what's the saying? Better to be 0-1 than 0-4-1. And maybe Daulton Varsho was the big reason of that. Like, you can do damage when you get your pitch. Just try to do what you can to get your pitch more.
Okay, so we've known for basically since he came over that the whole Daulton Varsho swing was at the top of the zone with fastballs up and in. Do you know for like a fact that they're actually pitching him there more, or is that just like eye test?
So it started with the eye test, but I have the Baseball Savant pitch percentage map open right now. So in the top left quadrant in 2025, this is out of the zone. He was getting 14% of his pitches out there. In top right, it was 9. This year, it's jumped to 16 and 11 on those two things. So do the math, 27% of his pitches have been up out of the strike zone, up and outside, but in the upper thirds compared to last year when it was 23. So those numbers are getting a little higher. And even if you look at the pitches in the strike zone that are in the top part of the quadrant, in last season, it was, quick math, 14%. This year, it's up to 18%. So he is getting more up in the zone than he ever has before.
Okay, that's awesome. That's great analysis from you. Thank you for bringing that, because that makes me feel a little bit better. Makes me feel a little bit better about the approach. At the same time, it's still not what we need Daulton Varsho to do in this team when you're built around like a very aging George Springer and a Miles Straw who's hitting in the 2-hole a lot, and a rookie guy in Yohendrick Pinango who maybe he deserves some flowers a little bit shortly here. And Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who's a superstar hitter, but not a power superstar hitter. And like, there's just not a whole lot of power in this lineup is kind of the point I'm trying to make. Daulton Varsho is kind of supposed to be that one guy who brings the slug over everything else and is the home run threat, the guy who can leave the yard at any notice, is a threat against lefties and can leave the yard even against lefties. That's kind of the role he's supposed to play. And that's not the role he is playing. And he's made all these changes, and it's not even helping because he's got I think before the home run, it was a 96 weighted runs created plus. Before the walk-off grand slam, it's probably come up a touch since then.
Yes.
Grand slams will do that for your weighted runs created plus. But at the same time, like overall in the season, like he's been a worse hitter because of all these changes.
Yeah, and he's still hitting fifth. He was hitting fifth in the lineup today. He's still going to be your number one lefty against a lot of righties in the lineup. So like needing, and you're going to see more righties on the schedule than lefties anyway. So it's very important that they are able to do just that. Let's rapid fire here through Owen some of the other positives that we saw here. I do want to touch on Yohendrick Pinango because, man, he looks good. The Blue Jays as a team, I think, only had, this was coming into the game yesterday, this number is going to be wrong, but it's in the ballpark. I think it was like 11 or 12 hard hit balls through 2 games. Yohendrick Pinango had 4 of them. So he has been a hard hit machine coming out at the top of that order. He should have never went down in the first place. I'm sad that Barger went down, but I am happy that Pinango is back up and he's immediately going up into that number 2 hole. Leads the team in WRC plus and a bunch of stats. And yes, it's probably just a hot streak for a guy who has like a 760 career minor league OPS, but you're going to take it and you're going to ride with it while this guy is hot.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, you're absolutely right. I think it says a ton about what John Schneider actually thinks about him when you bring him back up and he immediately gets slotted right back in the top of the lineup.
Yeah.
Like, I think for me, that kind of tells me all I need to know. And the decision is a front office decision. Obviously, the front office gets to make the roster. That's your right. At the same time, I think I think it's just pretty encouraging for me to just see the fact that he's kind of taking this opportunity and running with it. He's kind of everything I want Vlad to be. The swing is so simple. Like, he's just getting the front foot down. And it sounds like an old man way of saying it, but it's legit. He gets the front foot down. Nothing is moving. He gets his barrel to the baseball. He's not trying to hit home runs. And he's hitting the ball really hard. He's hitting a ton of line drives. The bat speed is elite. And he's on time. Like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., when he's struggling like this, it feels like he's never on time. He's always late or early. Pinango is just on time. He's meeting the ball where it's at, and he's crushing it, dude.
Yeah, fantastic. Small sample, caveats apply, all that good stuff, but you just look at the numbers. His average exit velocity is second on the team behind Kaz Okamoto. I was going to look up his line drive rate, but batted ball information, line drive rate. It's ahead of Vlad. It's best on the team here in baseball. He's doing it to all fields too. He's pulling it, hitting the center, hitting it to the opposite field. His hard contact, medium contact is all there. Sure, he's running a 429 BABIP, but when you hit a ton of line drives, you're going to run a higher BABIP. So all that makes sense. And it's just been excellent stuff from Yohendrick Pinango. And I don't know if I want to see him out of the lineup anytime in the near future. Until maybe you get a tough lefty, but looking at the schedule, Detroit doesn't have many of those at the moment, sans Tarek Skubal. So I think we're going to be okay. And let Pinango run, man. Let him go.
Yeah. So I will say, and just to give him a little bit of credit, since coming over to the Jays, 790 weighted runs created plus, or sorry.
Wow.
OPS. Yeah, I screwed that one up. 790 OPS in 2025 as a minor leaguer. And in AAA so far this season, 857 in what is that? 92 plate appearances. And he's got an 849 in the big leagues and 34 plate appearances. This guy might just be a good hitter, dude. I'd like to see the home run power kind of come, but I'll take the doubles. The left-handed bat looks really good in the 2 spot as of right now. Obviously, this is a hot streak. This is not who he's going to be. He's not going to hit 3 line drives in every single baseball game for the rest of his big league career, as awesome as that would be. But I think you got to ride it out right now, especially with the way the team looks. And I think he's kind of opened a lot of eyes. He's definitely opened my eyes. I kind of believe in him a lot more now that I've kind of seen a little bit of proof of concept. And the league's going to adjust him. They're going to start pitching him differently. He's not going to get all these fastballs to turn on going forward. I think Detroit is probably going to bring a different game plan than Tampa did against him. And we'll see what he does with it.
Fantastic point. Watch for that. And if he can make the adjustment, you can go. It would be nice to see that home run. I agree. But dude, he's already got more RBIs on the season than Miles Straw, Lenny Sosa, Eloy Jimenez, Tyler Heineman, and then, Kirk and Barger, but they've barely been here. He's already doing his job in run producing. He's 2 more RBIs behind George Springer, for goodness sake. I'd say 3 behind Varsho, that he added 4 more today, so that'll fall a little bit behind. But he's very slowly making his way into the top 10 of the Blue Jays RBI list in what he's been here 2 weeks. So very good stuff from Yohendrick Pinango. Owen, who else did you like this series?
To be honest, that was about it. Oh, Andres.
Yes.
Well, game 1, Andres Jimenez put on a freaking performance, man. It was cool. 2 homers. You were losing that game from the jump. Unfortunately,
yes.
A game that we probably should have been having an awesome Andres Jimenez conversation turns into a game where we have to have a tough Kevin Gausman conversation because he really wasn't good. But we can do the Andres Jimenez thing just a little bit. I think obviously it gets overshadowed really hard, but 2 homers, one of them is just an absolute no-doubter. I think he got second deck there for the 3-run homer, kind of make it a little bit of a game. Obviously the Jays lost 8-5 and the pitching staff kind of let you down in that one. And it kind of felt like you just got out-teamed in that one.
Yes, he added to what I believe is now second on the team in RBIs. He is the 7th best shortstop in runs batted in. He's got more ribbies than Corey Seager, Bobby Witt Jr., Gunnar Henderson, Connor Griffin, Zach Neto. Name your shortstop. He's been better at producing runs. I think part of that is the Jays as a team haven't really been good at producing runs, and he's actually, put some together. But shout out to Andres Jimenez. I've noticed too, a lot of them have been on those pitches that have been running inside. He's been really good at pulling his hands in and hitting those barrels out. The one in the 7th inning was a moonshot. That might have been the farthest I've ever seen Andres Jimenez hit a home run. So credit to him. Good to see from that there. Plus he made a very good defensive play late in the game today. I would like to see that from Andres Jimenez too. He's one of the few Blue Jays. I think he's doing exactly what we thought he should be.
What do you think? What do you think his weighted runs created plus was in 2025?
Last season, 93.
70 in 101 games, 369 plate appearances. Yikes! I just looked at that. I was like, that is horrendous. It's 87 this year. So for all the run producing and runs batted in and the 5 homers, good stuff. At the same time, he's got a 2.7% walk rate and he's striking out 16% of the time. and his OPS is in like the 682 range. Ace, God, like I don't know. You're asking a lot of him, and as your everyday shortstop, I guess you'll take that. But we've got to see that creep closer to 100, and it's good to see the counting stats looking good. But on the whole, he still swings a wet noodle in my eyes.
Yeah, and it's very easy to see that watching that too. I'm trying, on a Blue Jays team that's gotten very little offensively, you're trying to nitpick at the small things here, and Andres Jimenez has been making some small changes, so credit there. Anything else on the offensive side of the ball? Jesus Sanchez finally got an extra base hit after me knocking him for the longest time. I will say he was late on a fastball that I didn't love on a pitch he should have turned, but he hit it down the line, got a double. Good for him. As you know, Andres Jimenez finally got an extra base hit, which we talked about last episode. Still waiting for that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. extra base hit, but we've talked a lot about him here. Anyone else in the lineup that caught your attention?
No, I think that's it. Lenny Sosa, I've seen enough. As soon as somebody else comes up, I'm ready to see him go. Davis Schneider, we didn't really see a whole lot of in this series because I don't think John Schneider believes in him much right now. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of the way it is. And I already mentioned it, but Miles Straw is the go-to pinch hitting option as a right-handed bat. Like, how did we end up here is kind of how I feel.
All right, I'm with you. Brandon Valenzuela, and I think is very much well above leaps and bounds above Tyler Heineman. I am still waiting for Tyler Heineman to get an RBI that doesn't come from a ground ball, sac fly, or bunt. I'm waiting for that RBI hit from Tyler Heineman. Still has yet to happen. We'll see if he can get one at some point this season. You mentioned off the top there, Kevin Gausman. Do you want to take him or should I?
I can do it. It feels like, and it's a second straight start against the Rays. So that's going to be the preface. That's going to be the excuse here. It's tough when you see a team 2 times in a row, second time in a week. They just saw you. They know exactly what you're offering. And Kevin Gausman's a little bit unique as a starter because he is a 2-pitch guy, right? That's all he's got to offer is the fastball and the splitter. And we know he tries with that slider, but we know it's also a dog shit pitch.
Yes.
Excuse my language there, but it is. that slider, like whenever you see Kevin Gausman throwing the slider, that's when you know you're in trouble. And it felt like, frankly, watching it, that we knew, or the Rays knew what was coming. And that's how it felt. And we kind of saw them mix it up a little bit. Braden Fisher hit Aranda. Was it on purpose? Was it not? It kind of looked on purpose, like a heater right to the back. I don't know, on the first pitch of an AB. I don't know. It like kind of did look intentional. I think because Aranda was one of those guys that was relaying signs. Is kind of the conversation. I'm not here to like blame big leaguers for trying to get an edge to win. I think that is your job as a big league baseball player. If you can gain an advantage, do it. I respect when the Jays, who were one of the best teams at it in all of 2025, did it a whole lot, and I can't blame other teams for doing it. The Mariners did it. The Yankees did it in the playoffs. The Dodgers did it in the playoffs as well. Like, all the best teams do this. That's what happens. Okay, back to Gausman. The stuff was actually up. I think the issue is just the strikeout numbers are way down, man. So in his first 3 starts, Gausman struck out 26 hitters. In his last 6 starts, only 22. Yes. Like, that's twice as many starts and 4 less strikeouts. And in those 6 starts, it's a 5.03 ERA. It's just, I don't know. He looks like he's 35, and he looks like the other team kind of knows what's coming recently. And I think there's definitely more good Kevin Gausman starts to come this season. I don't want this to be buried Kevin Gausman time. I don't think he is far from the Blue Jays' biggest problem this season. But when you need to be perfect and the offense is just limping to the finish line right now, they're struggling. Your starting pitchers need to be better. And Kevin Gausman, unfortunately, has kind of not been better. He's kind of fallen in line with the offense and played down. And that kind of hurts to see.
Yeah, I did notice with Kevin Gausman, he's been throwing a splitter more this year. I'd love to do a deeper dive on like the swing and miss numbers and stuff and what is happening there. But when I look at the stat you said earlier about like, it's the second time they've seen Kevin Gausman a week, I immediately jumped to the third time through the order penalty. And like the guys who are genuinely good at avoiding the third time through the order penalty were guys like Chris Bassett. It's the guys who can throw 6 or 7 pitches so you can really vary your looks at opponents. Kevin Gausman is the exact opposite of that. His WOBA increases by more than 100 points every single time through the order. You factor that in now, it's twice in a week. You're already kind of starting with a little bit of a penalty, and that just rises. So it's no real surprise to me that looking at that number that Kevin Gausman gave up some of the home runs that he did. Yeah, you don't want to see the, 5 earned runs very early on. I get that, but it would be nice to see a bounce back Kevin Gausman start here going forward, because or else we're going to have to start to have that conversation too.
Yeah, well, the final line was 4 2/3, 10 hits, 7 runs,
Yeah,
6 of them earned,
yikes.
and the defense
Awful,
let him
awful.
down a little bit, but it was an ugly game from Gausman. And I have the answer to why he's throwing the splitter more. It's because his fastball's down like more than half a mile an hour,
Mm,
and that's what it
mm.
is. And that's what you see with the 35-year-old guy. This guy's pitched a ton, man. He's one of 6 pitchers with 2,000 strikeouts. By the way, congratulations to him.
Yes.
Awesome
Oh, shout out
crowd.
to Gausman.
Yeah,
Mhm.
sorry, we missed that. We should have said that kind of off the top, but awesome crowd this week, and that's kind of what sucked about the Jays being bad. And I know this is kind of a bigger picture thing and a little bit of a distraction from the conversation we were having, but when the Jays suck and the crowd is this good, it's so frustrating because like I remember going to the Rogers Center as a kid and being like the only person in the building who cared about the team. And I think it's such a good baseball city, and there's so many great baseball fans here. And like they're chanting for Vlad and Okamoto and booing when Andres Jimenez gets drilled and standing ovations for Kevin Gausman and a huge cap tip for him when he gets his 2,000 strikeout. Like the crowd this week was awesome. Unfortunately, the team didn't play a little bit better. But to bring it back to Gausman a little bit, I think he's getting up there in age. He's pitched a ton of miles on the arm. Pitched was it over 225 innings last year, including the playoffs. I think this is kind of what you're getting.
Yeah, and that's true. I think it's those innings are finally catching up to Kevin Gausman a little bit. And if you're seeing it in the fastball decline, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Makes sense why he's throwing the splitter more. Also makes sense why he's getting hit around a little bit more. The Blue Jays are still 4th in baseball in average total attendance. So they're showing up. Yeah, they're 4th in just pure numbers of people who have come through the gates. And they've done it in less game than, say, the Padres and Phillies have. So, yeah, they're a top 5 attendant team in baseball. And the fans really haven't had a lot to cheer about so far this year. So if you want to keep playing in front of packed domes, if you want to keep, getting that revenue sales up, that merchandise sales up, those dollar hot dogs being eaten, you got to get the crowds back in there, or else we're going to see those lowly like 13,000 numbers. Probably won't happen this year, but if it's a trend that continues, we'll keep going forward. Owen, just real quick, I want to mention Dylan Cease, phenomenal again today. He was 1 over the minimum through 6, ran into a bit of trouble in the 7th when he did a leadoff walk, another walk, and a bloop single up the middle, but a Rays type single, got the run across. And for a while, I thought that was going to be it. The Jays are going to lose 1-0, and it's going to be because of that for Dylan Cease. But he was good, pitched into the 7th, stayed under his pitch count. Did you have a thought on him?
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't send him back out for the 8th. I think Dylan Cease is just one of those guys. It gets a little bit frustrating when I feel like he always pitches and the team doesn't score. That he never gets any run support. And for some reason, this just happens to some guys in some seasons. But for Cease, felt like he had to be perfect in this game. And when he gave up those 2 walks in the 7th and then gave up the hit and gave up that run, felt like a backbreaker at the time. Luckily, the offense kind of bounced back. Kazuo Okamoto was able to hit the sac fly, send you to extras, and then Daulton Varsho with the grand slam got the job done. But I think like Cease was really good. I can't say enough nice things about him. Kind of exactly as advertised. And Sneaky has made the adjustment to throw all the pitches. Like this was a thing that we talk about. If he can be able to mix in that changeup and throw the big curveball as well as the fastball and the slider, and then does he still have the backdoor 2-seamer or sinker kind of pitch? Like he's throwing all of those, and he's throwing all of them for strikes. He's throwing all of them effectively. He's getting swings and misses on all of them. And like it's working, Jesse. The last 2 or 3 starts has been just absolutely nails.
There was a couple times too where he desperately needed a strike, where most batters would go with their fastball. He was throwing the slider in there for strikes. I like that. He did do a couple get me over curveballs as well that he was able to put in the strike zone. I really like seeing that as well from Dylan Cease. He's far and away the best pitcher the Blue Jays have right now, maybe one of the best in the American League. So good to see Dylan Cease taking this turn. What did you see from Patrick Corbin in Game 2 in this series? Because I know we probably have some thoughts on him.
I thought it was going to be win day when Junior Caminero was just absolutely melting down. I was like, it's the baseball gods. Patrick Corbin is win day. I thought we were getting that one done. Unfortunately, not the case. To me, he looked like Patrick Corbin, dude. I don't know. Like, I have a hard time like really digging into Patrick Corbin because none of it's sexy. None of it's hot. I don't like it's just he's going to give you between 4 and 5 1/3 innings every single time. And he's going to give up a lot of hits, but he's going to be okay when guys get on base. Hopefully he's not going to walk very many, but he's also not going to strike anyone out. He looked like Pat Corbin to me. What did you think?
Yeah, 3.93 ERA on the season, but a 6.11 expected ERA. I'm starting to feel like the magic might be starting to run out from Patrick Corbin. He's been, I think, very good at like not allowing home runs right now. And is that a skill when it hasn't been a skill his whole career? I'm not so sure it is. I think you absolutely take the 7 starts you've gotten from the 36-year-old here, but I am starting to get a little worried that maybe the magic might be running out for Patrick Corbin a little bit.
Hey man, I don't know if you've ever seen Snow Buddies. Great movie. If you haven't, it's about sled dogs. In Alaska.
Awesome.
I think it's kind of like a Air Bud, but with sled dogs kind of thing. I think. I don't know. Maybe this is like a fever dream for when I was a kid. Anyways, there's a lot of magic in those sled dogs, so don't give up on them quite just yet.
Fantastic. The last movie I watched, Owen, was about a baseball player who was on rehab, got hurt. He bought a house with a pool, but it turns out the pool was really haunted. So there was like his children were getting eaten by the pool. That's the last movie I've seen. I'm not a huge movie watcher. You'd actually be surprised by how many movies I haven't seen. But hey, Magic Sled Dogs, you might be making your case. Maybe I'll watch that.
Yeah, man, that sounds. From what I remember, I think it was probably my favorite movie at one time. Great movie, Snow Buddies. For everybody out there, check it out. Maybe that's gonna be what I watch when we hang up this call and get off this podcast. And I think that's kind of where we're at with these Jays. They're headed off to Detroit. But before we get there, is there anything else you want to touch on with this Jays team in the series?
Few more small notes I had. Just shout out to Braden Fisher, who actually was on the mound in game 2 when the Rays had it in extra innings. He did allow a few runs there, but it was actually the first loss of his major league career, which wins and losses are what they are. But I was actually kind of shocked. I was like, oh, Braden Fisher, he's had a nice little career. First game he's been on the hook for the L for. So that caught my attention from a stats perspective. It would be very nice if the Blue Jays could score more runs. It was nice to see that 5-run inning. They did take advantage of some stuff they had there. So that was good. And just some stolen bases I wanted to see because the Blue Jays actually did steal a couple bags here. Vladdy got one. Daulton Varsho had one. It's something that I think the Blue Jays aren't really a fast team. And if anything, their players have gotten slower this year. But it was good to see them actually get on the board with some bags here. And that's something I'm going to be monitoring going forward.
I like that. Stolen bases are a lot of fun. Really cool. I think
I agree.
Baseball should make the bases even bigger. More stolen bases, good for the game.
Fantastic. All right, let's talk Tigers.
All right, Detroit Tigers, 19-23. So a team that was they were an extra innings game away from playing you in the ALCS last year in 2025. Kind of a weird sliding doors moment there. If you kind of think about it, they played that long, 18 innings against the Mariners or something stupid like that, and ended up losing that series. And it ended up being the Jays versus the Mariners in the ALCS. And we know what happened from there. Anyways, if we're looking at the Tigers of 2026, they're struggling. 19-23. Targ Skubal's hurt. This is a team. Tigers are supposed to be a good team. They're supposed to be at the top of that pathetic division in the American League Central, but they're not. They're struggling just like pretty much everyone else in the American League. You're going to have an off day tomorrow on Thursday when you're listening to this. So Jays kind of hopefully ride that momentum into a Trey Savage versus Ty Madden start in Detroit on Friday night. It's going to be Spencer Miles getting his second start. Is it his second start? He might have had one other open. But he's going to be going up against Drew Anderson and then Kevin Gausman looking to bounce back against Jack Flaherty. What are you thinking for this series, Jesse?
Sounds like 3 righties. Sounds like some not so great pitchers either for the Detroit Tigers. I do like the Blue Jays bats to have a good chance to get back here. The Tigers bullpen has struggled as well. Kenley Jansen isn't necessarily lights out in the back end of that bullpen. And the Tigers are probably one of the few teams in the American League that have had just as many injuries as you have. So it should be a very interesting battle. Should be maybe a get right spot for the Toronto Blue Jays. I will say since the start of May, the Tigers are they're worse pitching wise. They've given up more ERA than you have over the course of the season. And in terms of runs scored in the month, the Detroit Tigers are bottom 6 offense in the month of May. So they are really struggling right now, and the Blue Jays need to take full advantage of that. Including just 5 home runs. 5 home runs for the Tigers. They've hit the fewest home runs in baseball. So that is a stat that needs to continue.
So you think the Jays are a struggling team? These Tigers are a struggling team, and the Jays have the hardest schedule left in the in baseball in the American League, at least last time I checked. And this is one of your last opportunities against a limping team to kind of get right. The Tigers have lost 7 of 8, man. They lost again to the Mets tonight, and the Mets are a hard team to lose to sometimes, especially in 2025. So, and they're going up against Nolan McLean tomorrow. They're in tough is basically kind of what I'm saying. They are struggling right now. And I think it's a good chance for the Jays to kind of get right. And man, hopefully next time we talk, we're talking after maybe a series win. Maybe the Jays can string together some wins here and get kind of closer to that 500 mark that we need to see them get to.
I do think the Blue Jays will win this series. I'm going to say they take 2 out of 3. I think we get a big Trey Savage start. I think we're finally in line for, yes, some of the underlying metrics have been there. And yes, the stat line looks way better than how he's actually pitched. But I feel like we're kind of due for just one of these Trey Savage starts where the strikeouts are there and it starts clicking. And I bet you it starts against the struggling Detroit Tigers offense, which we shouldn't have to deal with too much cold weather, actually. I think the weather is going to be all right in Detroit. It's going to feel like a normal day. So that should not be an issue going to the Tigers. I like the Blue Jays' chance to play well here.
I love that. Unless you have anything else, I'm ready to wrap this up and talk to you after that series.
Let's do it. Let's end on a positive note here. Let's get things rolling. And hey, if you're going to the game in Detroit, it's not a far drive from Toronto. It's pretty nice to get to. Comerica Park is beautiful. Get in there, rep your Blue Jays, be loud, be proud.
Yeah, man, it's a cool park. I've driven by it once. It was really cool to look into from the highway. But if you enjoyed this episode of the Jays Center podcast, and which I really hope you did, please give us a like, comment on the video episode. If you watched it on YouTube, maybe subscribe, give us 5 stars on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever your preferred listening method is. Thank you once again to Jesse Burrill for joining me as always. And you can find us on social media. Love interacting with you guys on there. And Jesse, thank you so much, my man.
My pleasure. Always a good time. Good talking ball with you. And for everyone listening, leave a comment, tell a friend, all that good stuff. We'll be back soon to touch again.
Awesome. We will talk soon.